What's up everybody, welcome back to Swanky Disc Reviews. Today we are looking at the new Gannon Buhr Cloudbreaker from Discmania. I can't wait to jump into it. This is an absolutely sick plastic, but before we do, I want to remind you to, if you're enjoying the content, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. A lot of people don't realize that this is our second channel where we review discs every single week, so if you want to see those weekly disc reviews, be sure to hit the subscribe button and like the video if you're enjoying the content. What we have here, if I'm not mistaken, is a Color Glow Horizon C-Line Cloudbreaker for Gannon Buhr out of Discmania. The numbers on this are 12.5, -1.3, which is very stock for that overstable destroyer clone kind of disc. So really, if you're buying this disc, you're buying it for a couple of reasons. One is to support Gannon Buhr specifically. This disc is probably going to be running for $25 to maybe even $30 depending on where you find it, and that's because it is a Gannon Buhr Creator Series disc. Part of the money is going to be going to support Gannon Buhr, which is cool. Those are kind of expected markups on disc price. It is expensive, so if you're just looking for this flight, a DD3 out of Discmania is going to feel and fly very, very similar. We're going to test that today to make sure, but probably going to feel and fly very similar for closer to $20. But the second reason you would get this disc is because specifically the plastic. At least to my knowledge, they have not done all of this combination of plastic before. You can tell it's absolutely gorgeous. Has a lot of give, very much so a pop top kind of flight plate and a nice firm rim. That's something a lot of companies are starting to dabble in now, is this kind of clear, it's hard to tell because it's Color Glow, but it's a clear translucent kind of flight plate with the opaque, nice and firm rim. So at least off the top of my head, I don't think we have seen a combination of plastics like this in a disc before from Discmania, and the Cloudbreaker is its own mold. I did check the PDGA approved discs list. This is not a new or retooled Cloudbreaker. It is the same Cloudbreaker that we got before with the Eagle McMahon Creator Series, same exact mold, which is unique from the DD3, although they're very, very similar, which is why today we are going to be comparing it to, this is a swirly S-Line DD3, essentially a Cloudbreaker. I don't have a Creator Series Eagle McMahon Cloudbreaker on me, so this is the best we can do, but this is basically a Cloudbreaker. We're going to compare them and see if this plastic maybe flies more glidey or more understable. Okay, so we kind of got a good feel for them there, a good couple of warm-up shots. Those shots were not exactly the same. I think I got a hold of the DD3 a little more. That was also in. Both of those throws were about 315 feet. I've lined up a basket behind me, also at about 315 feet, so I'm going to try and throw a flat backhand. Okay, so obviously I'm not a robot or anything, and those throws were not absolutely identical. They landed in pretty similar areas, although I've been consistently throwing this one just a tiny bit farther, and it might just be because I've thrown it before, I'm more comfortable with it. I've really only thrown it a handful of times. It's basically brand new, it's not beat in or anything, and it is feeling like the DD3 is maybe a little bit less overstable, which is surprising. Just putting my hands on the Cloudbreaker makes me think that it is more glidey, just off of like this big pop top and stuff like that, but it might actually be a tiny bit more overstable. Either way, it's too close for me to give you like, oh, this one's definitely more overstable, this one's definitely more understable. It's nothing like that. The thing that I like most about this is going to be the hand feel. The C-Line drivers out of Discmania tend to be a little bit more stiff than S-Line. That's why I prefer swirly S-Line or S-Line, stuff like that. Has that really good give in the flight plate where you can grip it and your thumb kind of sinks in. This has that exact same amount of give and gumminess of an S-Line disc, except for it's more C-Line, and so that's really cool. I like that. And the flight, C-Line plastic is traditionally more overstable than S-Line out of Discmania for one reason or another. I know we've thrown a lot of C-line MD3s, and then we threw the S-line MD3s, and they seemed a little bit less overstable. I think the most dramatic difference I saw was in the CDs. I threw a C-line CD, and then an S-line CD was almost a completely different disc, dramatically more understable. I'm going to give these a couple of just max distance forehand effort throws. So I will say I have consistently been throwing the DD3 a tiny bit farther, and it might just be, again, me being more comfortable with the DD3. The DD3 is my favorite destroyer clone out there, and I think it is a tick more understable than the Cloudbreaker. There's a chance I am wrong in saying that. The important thing that I will note for all disc golfers who are considering picking up a Cloudbreaker is that it's super comfy. If you prefer a distance driver that is a tiny bit more gummy than their traditional C-line, and that also looks just beautiful, you will absolutely love this thing. I know there are some people who prefer stiffer drivers. Some people just, every mold, they prefer to be a little bit more stiff than gummy. If that is you, this will not be your favorite run of Cloudbreaker out there, I'm sorry to say. Super usable for amateurs as a utility disc, or even maybe something to get a little distance out of when it's a windy day. And obviously for more advanced amateurs or professionals, this is going to be a more reliable crusher kind of disc. Definitely going to recommend it though. It's beautiful. It supports Gannon Buhr. I love when companies innovate and they're combining all of these crazy plastics. Really, really cool disc. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Stay swanky.